Margot Robbie is apparently slated to produce a feature film based on the board game Monopoly.
Pass. What else you got?
Well, there is this one thing. It's about a killer robot driving instructor that travels back in time for some reason.
I'm listening.
Okay. Well, you see, this robot, he's got a heartbreaking decision to make about whether his best friend lives or dies. His best friend's a talking pie.
Sold! Howard, you've done it again.
These happy days are yours and mine. These happy days are yours and mine. Happy days.
It's official. Hollywood is running out of ideas. With the news that Margot Robbie is being tapped to develop a movie with Lionsgate based on the board game Monopoly, this has got to be one of the biggest jokes I've ever seen in cinema. In a world filled with creative independent artists and struggling filmmakers, isn't there anything else better that we could have come up with? Hell, even ChatGPT would be able to come up with 5 other ideas for movies that would be 10 times more creative. Hi, can you come up with 5 ideas for a good movie? Wow, that's actually pretty good. Moreover, what it also shows to me is the almost desperate-like nature of Hollywood to simply go to Margot Robbie to make them money. After seeing her success with Barbie, I can just imagine some old executives at Electronic Arts and Activision coming up to her with a proposal for Sims, and then now with Hasbro with Monopoly, saying something like, "Look, we love what you've done with Barbie. Can you make us $1 billion for this game? But it's a board game? Just make it happen." It feels so sad to see, but look, I admit that initially when I heard that there was going to be a live-action adaptation of the movie Barbie, back then I too had some similar skepticism. It's hard for such news not to come across as a sign of Hollywood cashing in on a popular existing IP, but when that movie was released, it was actually a pleasant surprise, because it was actually very good. It wasn't just a soulless corporate product placement, there was a genuine story with interesting characters, witty humor, and thought-provoking themes. Yes, Barbie worked because it had name recognition for a hugely popular brand, but it was a success because of the work of good filmmakers who knew what they were doing. Now, this seems like a formula that could work for any other toy or game, and that might be possible, but, and this is a big but, it doesn't always mean it's going to be a guarantee, and I feel like it largely depends on the toy or game in question. The idea of Barbie lends itself to being a story because she is a person. There is so many connotations, meanings, themes, representations of who she is to people and how she is portrayed over history. Having a toy be a person makes it so much easier for someone to come up with a story about that same person, creating a context or origin story, while placing them in unique situations that explore a bigger narrative arc. In short, there is a lot you can actually do if you do it right when you take an inanimate object and truly personify it in the correct way by giving it a unique voice and interesting character. This is partly why I'm also not as opposed to seeing an adaptation of the likewise popular brand and game Sims, because as mentioned, the world of Sims is full of people, full stop. There's actually real characters you can mold and play with. What would be challenging here is that unlike Barbie, there isn't already a pre-existing notion given to the characters that occupy the world of Sims. We don't know who they are because, well, the whole point is for people to create their own Sims characters and then control them. So you don't know what you're going to be walking into, and for whoever is writing this new film, they would need to make sure that they could come up with creative characters that are interesting to watch, or else it's just going to be a flop. But this is also why I have a bigger skepticism to the news of Monopoly being adapted, because unlike Barbie or Sims, there is no actual characters. It's literally just a board game. Unless you want to count the Monopoly Man, who maybe could be played by Danny DeVito. Now you might say, of course, you'll have to create some characters, and that might be an interesting element to it, and I would be very curious to see how they exactly do that. But why on earth would you want to do that simply on the basis that you know people recognize the brand of Monopoly, and if toys like Barbie can be adapted, why not apply that logic to board games? It doesn't make any sense. The world of Monopoly has almost no basis in being a cinematic piece of work. I can't imagine how seeing people fight for owning real estate while avoiding going to jail is going to be translated onto a movie screen. I mean, if you really wanted to see something like that, I'm sure we could just turn on the TV and look to the current cost of living crisis and see people finding it difficult to even be able to afford a house in today's market. I seriously hope that this isn't going to be a thing in the future where we get some board game cinematic universe like Marvel. Are we going to get a Connect 4 and Operation adaptation? If history has told us anything when it comes to adaptations of toys and board games, it hasn't been done very well in the past. From Battleship to Bratz to the biggest franchise with Transformers, almost all of these films have been mediocre to downright garbage. While there have been a few bright lights here or there, most of these feel like they have simply leveraged an existing brand name and have gone in for an easy cash grab. And for what it's worth, it has worked. These movies have the potential to earn billions of dollars, with Transformers being the most famous example, and now with Barbie being the most recent, which is why they're always going to be of great interest to companies, because the business of Hollywood is in reality just exactly that. It's a business and they need to make money. I have no issue with this overarching goal, but it's unfortunate that some of the time, the idea of making money often triumphs producing quality, and that conversely, in order to make such money, companies often return to hedging themselves on safe bets by turning to unoriginal ideas which just have name recognition, while not taking a more interesting creative risk and ignoring the voices of filmmakers with something more original to say.
And that's the fear now, because you're now making movies for 16-year-olds and China. And that's it. You think of some of your favorite movies growing up, those movies wouldn't get made today.
Goonies,
Wouldn't get made today.
Halloween,
Wouldn't get made today.
Thing.
Wouldn't get made today.
Damn.
And all of them, you watch Stranger Things on Netflix. Has anybody ever seen Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Stranger Things is Goonies.
It's everything.
It's Goonies.
Yeah.
3 kids go on a mission, find underground. There's an alien, kill the alien. Goonies. Even when they found the little dark world where the alien was, they went down the slide like, Goonies. So it's a different time now. The business, they make movies for specific audiences as opposed to just making good movies.